Oh my goodness, are you ready to make this beautiful egg gathering apron? Look at that. How adorable is that? We will be using, I love this cotton yarn from Hobby Lobby to make our apron today. We have white and antique gold for the color of our hens. We have red for their combs and wattles. We have antique gold for their beaks. And for the back of our pockets for our apron, we're going to be using this teal turquoisey color. It's called Aspen. We're going to use that for the back pockets, the waistband, and for joining all of our pockets together. What I don't have here handy is black. You need just a small amount of black yarn because we're going to be using French knots to make the eyes for our little hens. You can use acrylic, you can use cotton, you can even use embroidery floss if that's what you've got handy. You're also going to need a pair of scissors for cutting the ends of your yarn when you're done making your hens and your little granny squares. We're going to be making those with a size G crochet hook, so you're going to want to grab one of those. And one last thing, even though this is a no-sew apron, we can't avoid those ends. We have to sew in our tails, so make sure you have a good yarn needle. If you've got all of your supplies together, let's get started making our beautiful nesting hens egg gathering apron. Let's move on to making our little hens for our apron. This is for the front of our pockets. I'm going to be making hens in white and this pretty little tan color. I've already got my white ones worked up, so I need to make one with tan. Now, keeping in mind you can use any color you like to make your hens, but remember, they're going to have little eyes. If you make your hen too dark, you're not going to see the eyes, so try to keep it on the lighter side. I'm going to start with a magic circle. I like to start my magic circles a little differently. I like to make just like I'm making a little knot, and I've got the tie of the knot up here at the top. I place my hook into the center of that little knot there, and I grab the yarn and pull it through. Then I just twist that knot and I chain one to secure everything. And my magic circle is ready to go. Make sure you leave a nice long tail to secure later. Into our center magic ring here, we're going to place 12 half double crochet. For our half double crochet, we're going to yarn over into the center of our ring, grabbing the yarn and pulling it back through. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook, and that is your half double crochet. One more time, yarn over into the ring, grabbing your yarn and pulling back through. You have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops on your hook. That's 2 half double crochet. We want 12 into the center of this ring. So here's 3, 4, 5. Don't close your ring all the way, but you can snug it just a little bit, so you can look over here, find your first stitch, not that chain, but the first stitch. Go ahead and place your hook in there, grab the yarn and pull it through the loop that's on your hook, completing a slip stitch and closing your round 1 of your hen. You can now go ahead and pull on that tail a little bit and close that up, and you've got a really nice, neat little circle for round 1. Let's move on to round 2. We're going to chain 2. I know some people like to chain 3 when they start a new round with double crochet. I like to chain 2. It kind of keeps that first double crochet from looking a little too wobbly. Right here in the same place where we joined, we're going to place a double crochet. So yarn over into that stitch, grabbing our yarn and pulling it back through. We have 3 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now we have what I'm considering this first one to be a double crochet and then another double crochet all in one stitch. We're going to place 2 double crochet in each stitch around. So let's move to our next stitch here. We're going to place a double crochet, and I want to make sure when you go through the stitch you get both the front loop and the back loop and complete that double crochet. That is technically going to be number 3. We're aiming for 24 double crochet around. Another one in that same stitch makes number 4. Moving over to the next stitch, a double crochet makes number 5. And in the same stitch, another double crochet makes number 6. I'm going to continue around with round 2, and I'll meet up with you here when we're going to put in our stitch number 24 and close up our round. I'm coming here to the end of round 2, and I've just completed double crochet number 22. Just got this little space right here left for double crochet 23, and in that same little space there, 24. We're going to come over to the top of where we did our chain 2 that's counting as our first double crochet, entering that stitch, making sure we get 2 loops on our hook, and pull that through and pull it through again, completing that round and closing it with a slip stitch. We're going to move right on in to round 3. Again, we're going to chain 2, that's going to count as our first double crochet. And in that very same place where we joined, I'm going to place a double crochet. This is an increase round, so instead of 2 in every stitch, we need to have 3 around. So we're going to put 2 in our first stitch and 1 in our next stitch. So here's number 3. We ultimately want to end with 36 double crochet. We're going to move to our next stitch and place number 4 and number 5. Moving to our next stitch is where we'll place number 6. So it is a sequence of 2 double crochet in one stitch, 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Moving right here, this is going to be double crochet number 7, and in the same stitch, double crochet number 8. In the next stitch over, double crochet number 9. So as you can see, if you look closely, we have 2 double crochet, then 1, then 2 double crochet and 1 as we work our stitches around. I'm going to continue round 3, and I'll meet up with you here when I'm ready to put in the last couple of stitches. Remember, we want 36 for the round. I'm about ready to wrap things up for round 3. We have 33 double crochet around so far. We're going to go into our next stitch here and work 34 and 35. Whoops, right there. And then right here in this little space, 1 more for 36. And round 3 is done. Again, we're going to count up here for our chains. Enter that chain that counts as a double crochet and slip stitch through to close our round. Don't finish off. We're going to go right into creating the features of our hen. And we're going to start with the head. Right here where we joined, we're going to chain 1. And in that very same stitch, we're going to place a single crochet. Still in that very same stitch, a half double crochet. And yet again in that very same stitch, a double crochet. It's going to start the back of the head. In our very next stitch, 6 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's a lot to go into one little space. Going right here to our very next stitch, don't miss it, don't come over here. You want right here in this very next stitch, a double crochet. In the same stitch, a half double crochet. And in the same stitch, a single crochet. Just like that. And now we have the rounded shape needed for our hen's head. Going to the very next stitch, a single crochet. And the same for the next 3 stitches. So here's 2, go to the next stitch, 3, the next stitch, 4, and there we have 4 single crochet. Now we're going to go on to creating the feathers along the bottom of our chicken. We're going to skip the next stitch and go to the stitch after that and place 5 double crochet in that stitch. So skipping this one and going to this one, 5 double crochet, making sure you go through both the front loop and the back loop. There's 2, 3, 4, and 5. Skip the next stitch and place a single crochet in the stitch after that. And that creates this pretty little shell that's going to be the feathers at the bottom of our hen. We're going to do that again. We're going to skip a stitch and place 5 double crochet in the stitch after that. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. We're going to skip the next stitch and single crochet in the next stitch. We're going to repeat this pattern for these feathers 3 more times. We want a total of 5 feathers. I've just completed my final set of feathers along the bottom edge of our hen. Now we need to work on her tail. We're going to skip the next stitch and work in the stitch over here just like we did with the feathers, but we're going to start with 1 double crochet, and then we're going to place 5 treble crochet in that same space. Yarn over twice, into the stitch, grabbing our yarn and pulling back through. We have 4 loops on our hook. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and yarn over, pull through 2. That's our first treble crochet. We need 4 more. Need a total of 5 of them. That's 3, 4, and 5. Now double crochet back in that very same space. You know, the vintage pot holders from way back in the 30s, 40s, and 50s, they didn't have a tail. But for our egg apron, we need it. And you'll see later when we're putting our apron together why we had to do this one a little different. Skip the next stitch and slip stitch into the stitch after that so we can close off this round. And our chicken body is done. We're going to go ahead and chain 2 so we can finish off, cutting our yarn and leaving a nice long tail that we can secure later. Pulling our yarn through, pinching those chains and snugging that up right up against our work, and that's not going anywhere. Now don't sew in your ends yet. We've got work to do to finish our chicken, and you don't want your ends sewn in and kind of being in the way or messing with stuff. I've tried it. Trust me, it's better to just wait, be patient, get the rest of your chicken done, and then sew your ends in. Let's move on to creating the face for our chicken. Working with red for the comb that will go across the top of the chicken head and then a wattle down here underneath her beak, we're going to start with red and we're going to create a slip knot. Here's where we slip stitched everything together in a chain 1. We're going to go to this very first stitch here that was this single crochet, and we're going to grab that slip knot and pull that through, and then we're going to chain 1, and that secures our red to our work here. Now you can carry your tail across the back if you like, or you could just sew it in to secure it later. It doesn't matter. In this very same stitch, we're going to place a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet. We're going to skip a stitch, go into the next stitch, a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet. Now we have 2 combs on the top of her head. Skipping the next stitch and going to the next after that, a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet. Skipping one, going to the next, a single crochet, a half double crochet, and a single crochet. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 combs. We need 1 more. Skipping one and going to the next one, a single crochet, half double crochet, and a single crochet. So you have your 5 combs across the top of your chicken's head. Go ahead and finish off and cut your yarn. And now our chicken has her comb across the top of her head. We're going to work on starting the wattle. We're going to start that right about here. And again, with the red, creating a slip knot, we're going to skip 1 stitch, skip 2 stitch down from the comb. So here's 1, here's 2, placing our hook into the 3rd stitch from the comb, placing our yarn on our hook and pulling it through. You can tighten that up on the back so it's nice and firm up against your work. You don't want your loop to be too big there. We're going to chain 1. We're going to single crochet in the same chain as the join. Going to half double crochet in the next chain, right there. We're going to double crochet in the chain after that. And then the chain after that, we're just going to do a single crochet. And go ahead and finish off. So even though it looks flat now, when you sew your ends in, it's going to pull that in nicely, so don't worry about that. Same with your comb up here. When you secure this end, it's going to pull this down, and that's going to give that a nice little finished look here at the front of your chicken. Okay, let's move on to her beak. We're going to start with a slip knot with yellow, and we're going to go to the very next stitch from the comb right here and place our hook through. Get yellow onto the hook, tighten it up in the back so you have a nice firm knot to start with there. I'm going to chain 2, 1, 2. We're going to single crochet in that very first chain that we made there. Single crochet. Then we're going to go to our next stitch and slip stitch it closed. Cut your yarn, pull it through, and secure that knot right up against your chicken right there. And there's her little beak. And so when you sew all of these in, this is going to flow nicely. You're not going to have all these gaps. We'll go through that when we sew it together. So our little hen is coming together. There's one thing left to do. We have to give her an eye. Okay, let's get an eye on this girl. We have some black cotton yarn here and our needle that we use to sew in our ends. And we're just going to load that on there. Now, I don't put a knot on here to start with. You're going to want to locate the very last double crochet of this set of 6 on her face here and bring that needle up through the actual double crochet. Don't do it in a space in between. Pull that up through, and I don't tie a knot in the back because when you put your needle back through, you don't want to go through a knot. Now, a lot of people like to do their French knots a different way. Some wrap their yarn around 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. I like to do 2. So what I like to do is just wrap my yarn around my needle twice and place that needle right next to where it came up, very, very close. And once I have that through, I kind of snug that knot a little bit around that needle, and I hold it with my thumb. And then I just very simply pull the needle the rest of the way through, not moving my thumb. Leave your thumb on there until the very, very end. And it makes a nice little knot. And give the initial yarn a little tug, give this a little tug, and there you've got a little eye for your hen. And in the back here, you can just give this a nice little knot to snug that down. And then don't cut it short, just tie it, and then you're able to secure your ends. But there's your eye for your little chicken. I'm going to sew in the rest of the ends so I can show you how nicely her face comes together. And this is going to be the front of our pocket. Make 12 hens, whatever color you like, keeping in mind about the dark eyes. You want to make sure you don't go too dark on your hens. Get them all put together. Sew in the ends nice and neat. Look at the back, almost looks as nice as the front. So hook up 12 of these and set them aside, and let's move on to our pocket backs. They're a classic granny square. Hey friends, are you enjoying the tutorial so far? Did you know that I have over a dozen patterns for my egg gathering apron collection? If you're enjoying this, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Click on that notification bell so you can be notified anytime I drop a new pattern. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and share with your crochet friends. I also have a playlist just for the aprons. I'll put the link right up here. Make sure you check that out and find your favorite apron or two. Okay, let's get back to today's project. Let's discuss our pocket backs for the reverse side of our apron. These are going to be just the classic granny squares, but we're going to do them with a little bit of color for round one. These are the colors that are in our apron on the other side. Red for the combs and wattles, the yellow for the beak, and then the white for one of our hens. I could have done more colors. I could have done black for the eye and brown for the other hen that we're doing, but I decided to go with these 3 colors for the back side of our apron. I'm going to complete 4 of each color, so I have a total of 12. You can choose any colors that you like, or you can do no color at all, but I do think that the little flowers in the center do add a little bit of whimsy and fun. I'm going to set these aside. I have 1 pocket left to make, which is 1 more white pocket, and so I'm going to do that with you here in the tutorial. So with the white, I'm going to go ahead and start a magic circle. I like to start my magic circle just by creating a little knot, slipping my hook through, pulling the yarn through, and giving that little loop a twist. And I kind of poke my finger through there, and now my magic circle is ready. I'm going to chain 3 to start. 1, 2, and 3. This counts as my first double crochet. 2 more double crochet into my magic circle. There's 1 and 2. The first little petal of our flower has been formed. I'm going to chain 2 and place 3 more double crochet into the center of our ring. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. 3 more into the ring. Make sure you go over both of those strands of yarn there, the ring and the tail. 2 and 3. We have 3 petals for our flower. Chain 2. Back into the ring for 3 more double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 2. And locate that chain 3 that counts as our first double crochet, and just go ahead and slip stitch into that 3rd chain to close your round. Now take that tail, close up that little flower. We're going to finish off by chaining 2, cutting our yarn, leaving a long tail to secure later. Pull your yarn through and pinch those 2 chains and give your work a nice firm tug, and you've got a really nice tight knot snugged right up against your work. It's not going anywhere. Okay, let's move on to our main color for our back pockets, that beautiful teal color, and let's finish this granny square. Now we want to have a slip knot, and go ahead and get that onto our hook here. go to any chain 2 space. I like to start right before where I finished off. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go slip through that chain 2 space to join our yarn. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3. That counts as our first double crochet. I like to tighten that up a little bit, and then I work over the tail as I go. We're going to place 2 double crochet in that same chain 2 space where we joined our work, and chain 2. We're going to place 3 double crochet right back in that same chain space, and we're creating a corner for round 2. I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to drop that teal tail. I don't need to carry that teal with me anymore. But as I come across over here to this next corner, I'm going to grab that tail. I'm going to work over it when I work in this corner. So this corner is going to be 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. And we've created the second corner of our granny square. And chain 1, we're going to complete the same thing in this corner and in this corner. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1 to get over to this corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. I'll meet up with you here and then we'll close our round. I've just finished the last corner of round 2. I'm going to go ahead and put my chain in, and we're going to come over here to where we started. Our chain 3 counts as double crochet. I'm just going to go into the top chain, grab my yarn and pull it through, and pull through the loop that's on my hook, and I'm closing that round. Now I don't have to finish off this color. I don't have to cut it. I'm just going to simply slip stitch over to the next available chain space, which happens to be right here at this corner. I'm going to chain 3, that's my first double crochet of this round, round 3, and place 2 double crochet in the corner, chain 2, because it is a corner, we want to keep that same pattern in the corners, and 3 double crochet, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to go right here to this chain 1 space from round 2, and we're going to place 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1, and we're going to go back over here to the corner to the chain 2 space and do exactly what we've been doing before in the corners, which is 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. So here's 2, 3, chain 2, and 3 more double crochet in that same chain 2 space from the prior round. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1. And here again, I've got this chain 1 space. I'm going to place 3 double crochet. I'm going to chain 1 and then go over to this chain 2 space here at our corner and complete another corner of 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. I'll chain 1 so I can place 3 double crochet in this chain 1 space here. And then I will chain 1 to move over to this corner, and I will complete the corner of 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet, chain 1, and I'll work our final 3 double crochet for this round right here in this chain 1 space, and I will meet up with you right here and we'll close this round together. I'm just now finishing up the final double crochet of round 3, chaining 1, and going to our chain 3 here where we first started, and close this round with a slip stitch. We want 4 rounds for our granny square for this apron. So again, I'm just going to randomly and loosely slip stitch over to this corner. And once again, I'm going to chain 3, and place 2 double crochet in the corner. That's the way our rounds always start for these little granny squares. Chain 2. And right back in that chain 2 space from the last round, 3 double crochet. 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to chain 1. Now I have 2 chain 1 spaces to work in here along this side of our granny square. I'm going to place 3 double crochet in our first chain 1 space. 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and work 3 double crochet in the next chain 1 space. 1, 2, 3, and chain 1. I'm here at the corner. We're going to work the corner just like we've done on all the other rounds. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. Then you're going to chain 1 to get to this space here and place 3 double crochet. Chain 1 to go to this space here, 3 double crochet. Chain 1 to get to the corner, and in the corner, 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet. You're going to continue that all the way around, and I will meet up with you right here when we're ready to close up round 4. I'm finishing up the final double crochet of round 4. I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to that chain 3, going to the top of it, and closing this round with a slip stitch. When I'm finishing these off, I do like to go ahead and just kind of slip stitch loosely over the corner to finish off. So chain 2 once I get there, cut my yarn leaving a nice long tail, pulling that through, pinching those chains and giving that a nice tug, and that secures my knot. Now I just need to sew in the ends, and I want you to really make sure that you sew these in very well. You don't want this work coming undone. Your apron is going to get a lot of use, and so you want to make sure that your ends are nice and secure. I like to use just a yarn needle, and I like to go where I have my yarn end, and I go underneath these set of stitches. I don't go right here at the end. I go over one strand of yarn and feed that through. And when I do that, it's going to capture this yarn here at the end and give it a nice tug. Once again, going back in the second direction, I don't go where I came out. I go over one strand of yarn and go back. And the same thing one last time. I'm confident that that yarn's not going to go anywhere. That end is good. And I'm just going to trim it up nice and close without actually trimming any of the stitches on my work. I'm going to go ahead and finish securing the ends of my last granny square, and let's move on to working on the waistband. We're going to be using the same color that we used for our granny square pockets for the back of our pockets. So we're going to be using the same color to make our waistband. So to start our waistband, we're going to go ahead and start with a slip knot. Get that onto our hook. We're going to chain 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Place your hook into the very first chain and grab your yarn and pull it through and complete a slip stitch. You're going to create a ring out of the 4 chains. We'll be working directly in that ring. Chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now finding the center of that ring, place 2 double crochet into the ring. Here's 1 double crochet and 2 double crochet, chain 2. Going right back into that ring, place 3 double crochet. Here's 1, 2, and 3. Okay. Chain 3 and turn your work. For row 2, we're going to be working in this chain 2 space. We're going to place 3 double crochet, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, going right back into that chain 2 space we were working in, 3 more double crochet, 1, 2 and 3. You're going to skip the first 2 double crochets, 1, 2. This chain 3 here counts as a double crochet. We're going to go to the top of that chain 3, and we're going to place a double crochet in the top of those chains. And it creates a space here. Chain 3 and turn our work. Row 3 is the same as row 2. 3 double crochet, chain 2, 3 double crochet right here in this chain 2 space. We're going to skip the first double crochet, skip the second double crochet, go right here to the top of this 3rd double crochet and work a double crochet. Again, it creates a little chain space here that we'll be working on later to join our pockets. Chain 3 and turn. Here we have 3 rows of our waistband, 1, 2, 3. Continue on with the same pattern that we've been working until you have 35 rows. I'm going to continue working on this, and I'll meet up with you when I get to row 35. I'm here on row 35 for our waistband, and we're just going to go ahead and finish this up with our 3 double crochet, chain 2, and 3 double crochet. Skipping our 2 double crochet here, we're going to double crochet right here in the last double crochet from the prior row, and that finishes off our waistband. We're just going to go ahead and chain 2, cut our work leaving a nice long tail to sew back in later, pull our yarn through and pinch those 2 chains and give them a nice pull up against our work, and that's not going to come undone. Now that your waistband has been crocheted, you want to go back and make sure you sew in your ends, securing them very, very well. You're going to have a lot of pressure and pull on this waistband once you put your ties on and tie your apron around your waist. So this needs to be extra sturdy. So make sure you take this long tail and sew it entirely in, back and forth. Do a really good job on the ends. Once we have everything ready to start putting our apron together, we're going to be attaching our pocket to these chain spaces here in our waistband. In order to do that, we need to know where to start. I'm going to have you take a look at your waistband and count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right here, this is the 6th space here in our waistband, and I need you to go ahead and put some form of a stitch marker here. It doesn't have to be a store-bought stitch marker. You can use a piece of yarn. Now that you have that marked and your ends are going to be sewn in, you can set your waistband aside, and let's move on to the next part of our tutorial. Okay, I have spent the last couple of days putting together my granny squares and all of my hens. They're all done, and I've sewed in the ends, and they are ready to be put together. So let's assemble our apron. This apron is going to be assembled a little differently than the other aprons in our collection. Let's discuss the placement of our components for our apron. Let me move the chickens aside. Let me move the waistband aside, and let's discuss our granny squares. I did my granny squares in 3 colors, so I'm going to want to make sure that I take the time first and foremost to align my squares how I want them to be on my apron. I'm going to have 3 rows of 4, and I have 3 colors to work with. So I think for my top row I'm going to do, let's see, yellow, white, red, and then end it with yellow. And then for my next row, I'm going to start with the white so that they'll kind of come down in a diagonal. White, red, yellow, and then white. And then I'll start my third row with red, yellow, white, and red. So I have those figured out. Take the time to figure out what do you want to do with your back side, the reverse side of your apron, so that when it turns around, it looks nice. These are all set up. Let's talk about our chickens. I have 6 brown hens. I have 6 white hens. I'm going to stagger them brown, white, brown, white. So for row 1, I'm going to start with a white chicken with a yellow flower. I'm going to do a brown chicken with a white flower, white chicken with a red flower, and so on, back and forth, making sure they all get an appropriate square placement and color. Now, my next row, since I started my first row with a white chicken, I'm going to start my second row with a brown chicken. So there's that. White chicken next, brown chicken next, and so on. You get the idea. Take the time to put your squares together before you start your join. So let's see, we're going to start back again with a white chicken, a brown chicken, a white chicken, and a brown chicken. So now everything's been laid out. We know who's going to go where, and now we're ready to join our apron. So let's get started with that. I'm using the same color that we used for the outer edge of our granny squares, this teal color. I'm going to start here with a slip knot, get that onto my size G crochet hook. Starting with the first set that I put together for my pocket, I have my chicken and I have my granny square. I'm going to marry these up wrong sides together. So the back of my chicken goes to the back of my granny square. So what we're going to have here is we're going to have the right side of our pocket facing out so it's reversible and it looks pretty. See how you could tell this is the wrong side of my square? Make sure you put the right side out, wrong side in. I also like to find where I finished off. I feel for the knot. It's down here. I always like to make sure that's at the bottom corner. And then I'm going to place my chicken on top of it. And we're going to do our join. Now it's important to note that our chicken will join up here to this corner at the top of her head, along the sides here. This first little bunch of feathers is just going to kind of just peek out over the corner here. Then we're going to join along the bottom here. This little corner here, again, the feather will not join. We'll join up, and then our tail is going to join right about here. And then we'll have our pocket top join across the top of our waistband. So they don't join in the usual chain 1 spaces that we do for our other aprons. It's a little different, but it'll work out just fine. Trust me on it, trust the process. Let's get started and let's have some fun, okay? So every time we start one of our pockets, we're going to start right here at the top of our little hen's beak. We're going to insert our hook into the stitch where the beak starts, and we're going to find our first chain 1 space of our granny square and place that through there. We've got our slip stitch right here. I'm going to pull that through and chain 1. And now that we've determined that that's where that is, we're going to go ahead and place a single crochet right here in that very same stitch. So there's our single crochet. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to go to this chain 1 space right here. We're going to find where we first started the wattle right here. And we're going to go through the chain 1 space as well and complete a single crochet. Now our beak is going to pop forward. It's going to kind of cover and lay on top of where that chain 4 is, but no worries. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Moving along our chicken now to where our wattle ends right here. We're going to go into that space and through the chain 1 space of our granny square and complete a single crochet. And again, the wattle is going to be above our chain 4. chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're not going to do anything with our chicken. We're just going to go right to the corner here and place a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to place a second single crochet in this corner of our granny square. There we go. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And moving now along the bottom of our pocket, we're going to skip over this first set of feathers. We're going to go right here into the single crochet in between our feathers and go to our first chain 1 space of the bottom of our pocket and complete a single crochet. Now, even though we skipped over this set of feathers, an egg's not going to come out this corner of our apron. It will be okay, so don't fret about that. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going to go to our next set of feathers, to that single crochet in between our set of feathers and the next granny square, and complete a single crochet. There we go. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And look right here how this chain is covering that feather. It's okay. Pop it behind the feathers. Once we join all of our pockets together, everything will lay appropriately. Going to our next set of feathers and going to the single crochet in between our feather groupings there, and then through the next chain 1 space, completing another single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're here to the corner, our second corner. We're not going to work into the feathers, we're just going to work into the granny square, a single crochet, chain 4, and a second single crochet into that corner right there. There we go. This creates the loop for joining our corners for future apron assembly. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to go here between this feather and this feather. We're going to go to that single crochet again, and then through the chain 1 space of our granny square and complete our single crochet. Chain 4. Between these next feather sets, go into that single crochet and the chain 1 space on our granny square and completing a single crochet. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now things are going to change up a little bit here with our tail of our girl here. We're actually going to count over to the third triple crochet right here. This is a double crochet, triple crochet, triple crochet, triple crochet. We're going to place our hook from behind her tail across the front and back down on that third triple crochet, and then into our chain 1 space. Pull everything through and complete a single crochet. And that gives her tail that cute little point, and it secures it to our granny square as well. Chain 4, I love how that looks. 3, 4. Going here to this top corner, just put your first single crochet in. Just like that. Let's take a look at our lovely little chicken here. She's all secured to the back of our pocket. This will be the front of our apron. Our eggs are going to slide right into here. And then if you wear your apron on the reverse, you're going to have that pretty little granny square on the back. We're going to add the top of our chicken pocket to our waistband. So let's grab our waistband, because this is where this is going to start getting really intense, but I promise you can do it. So when we made our waistband, I had you mark this spot here. It is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is the 6th little chain space here on the bottom of our waistband. We're going to go ahead, we're going to remove that stitch marker. Don't forget where it was. Remember, it's the 6th one. It's right here. Instead of chaining 4, we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. And we're going to remove our hook. We're going to place our hook through that chain space right here on our waistband. So again, it was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 6th space. I'm I'm going to place my hook through there and grab that loop and pull it through. We're not completing a slip stitch, we're just feeding it through that chain space. And once we have it through, we're going to finish our chain 4 sequence 3, 4. That attaches our pocket to our waistband. Every corner that we work on for our apron is going to have 2 single crochets in the corner. So now that we've completed our chain 4 sequence, we're going to go right back to that corner and complete that second single crochet. So we've successfully joined our chicken to the waistband. Moving on, we're going to now attach the top of our pocket to the bottom of our waistband. So we're going to chain 2 because it's our sequence of chain 4, but we're interrupting it. So we're just going to do 2, and we're interrupting it by removing our hook, and we're going to the next chain space on our waistband from the top to the bottom and grabbing that loop and putting it back on our hook and just pulling it through. We're not completing a slip stitch, we're just pulling it through, so we're connecting it to the waistband. And then we're going to complete our chain sequence of 3 chains and 4 chains. We're always going to have 4 chains in this apron. Now that we've completed the 4, we're going to go back down here to our pocket and complete a single crochet in that chain 1 space. Chain 2, remove your hook, go to the very next available chain space here on your waistband, going from the front to the back, grabbing that loop and putting it back on and pulling it through. Not completing a slip stitch, just pulling it through and completing your chain sequence of 3 and 4. Once this becomes second nature, it's going to go very quickly. It won't be so much work for you. It will just become second nature, I promise. We're going to go to our next chain 1 space and complete a single crochet. Chain 2. Going to our next little space here on our waistband from front to back, putting that loop back on our hook and pulling it through, completing 3 and 4. Back down to our pocket, into that chain 1 space, a single crochet. Chain 2, back up to our waistband to the next chain space available here, grabbing that loop and pulling it through, completing our chain sequence 3 and 4. And so now we're here to the corner of our pocket, our top corner, and this is where our hen's head is. Things are going to be done just like we did over here for the tail. We're going to take our hook and locate the half double crochet of her 3rd comb. 1, 2, 3. This is her 3rd comb. Don't take your hook off. You're going to keep your hook on there. But just go up from the back of her comb where that half double crochet is, and then back out the back again, capturing that stitch on your hook, and also go through the chain 2 space on the corner of your pocket and pull that through and complete a single crochet. That attaches her head to the top of our pocket, but you don't see it. It's very cute and clever. Chain 2. We're going to go ahead and connect this corner to our waistband, but we're not going to go to the very next space. So we're going to skip this chain space. We're going to go to this chain space only at the inside corners when we're joining our pockets. Let's get this joined, and I'll explain to you in a moment why we're going to do that. Pull this through that chain space there. Complete your 4, 3, 4. We're completing that chain sequence. We're going back here to the corner. We're not going to go through the chicken head again, just through the corner. And we're going to go ahead and put that second single crochet in. So we have our first single crochet, our chain 4, and our second single crochet here at this corner. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And go down here to where we started. We've got this very first single crochet where we joined in. Just capture a couple of loops on the back side there of that single crochet and slip stitch through, and then finish off. I like to finish off, as you know, with a chain 2. But before I finish off, I like to check Do I have everything I need? I have my chicken connected all the way around. I have not sewn my pocket closed. Everything is good here, and everything is connected right where it needs to be, so I'm good. I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn and pull my hook and my yarn through and grab those 2 chains and pull them down tight to secure that knot right up against my work, and everything is set. Okay, so we have successfully joined our first pocket to our apron. Now let's discuss why we skipped. Let me tuck these under here, those irritate me. Let's discuss why we skipped here. When we do our next square, if I were to take this pocket and just go straight up and the next pocket straight up, it would create a big gap where you're joining to your waistband. But since we crossed over here, this pocket will cross over to the one we skipped, and it's going to create a beautiful little pattern here in the center. Okay, so make sure you skip, otherwise you're going to have a big gap and it's not going to look very pretty on your apron. All right, let's move on to putting on our second square. For our second square, we have the brown chicken and the white granny square flower. We're going to put those back to back. Where is there's my knot. I'm going to put that at the bottom. They're married up, wrong sides together, and here we go. Let's get our second chicken on our apron. With our pretty little turquoise color here, we're going to go ahead and start with a slip knot just like before. We're going to locate where we started the beak, place our hook through there. We're going to go through the first chain space on the side here of our square and go through there. We're going to load our yarn on from the back side here, and we're going to pull through and chain 1. I could start from the front, but I don't want the knot here in the front. I want the knot to stay in the back. We're going to single crochet in that same space going through both the chicken and the granny square. And there's our single crochet. We're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to go here where the wattle has joined on and go through there. And finding our next chain 1 space in our granny square, go through there and complete a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Going down here where we ended the wattle into that space, and the next chain 1 space on our granny square, completing a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Going just to the corner, a single crochet, chain 4, and a single crochet back in that same chain 2 space. Working along the bottom of our pocket now, chain 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Going in between our feathers here and finding that single crochet right there, we're going to place our hook into that single crochet and the next chain 1 space on our granny square, completing a single crochet. Chain 4, 2, 3, 4. Now don't get ahead of me, because at the corner things are going to change again. We're going to go to our next feather grouping here and go to the single crochet in between. Go to our next chain 1 space and put our hook through that and complete a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Going to our next set of feathers in between where that single crochet is, placing our hook in that stitch and in the next chain 1 space of our granny square, completing a single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Going to the next corner, things are changing up here. Don't get ahead of me. Do your first single crochet and chain 2, because now we're going to start dividing that chain 4 again, because we're going to join up along the side of this pocket. Placing our chickens here next to each other, we're going to remove our hook and we're going to find the chain 4 space here on this pocket right here where we did the single crochet, chain 4, single crochet in the corner, made this little loop. We're going to place our hook in that loop from front to back, grab the loop that we took off of our hook, and pull it through. Again, we're not doing a slip stitch, we're pulling it through. Now we're going to chain the remainder of our chain 4, which is chain 3 and chain 4. We're going back to the corner of the pocket that we're actively working on because we still have to have that second single crochet in the corner. There's our second single crochet. So now we've attached our second pocket to our first pocket. Moving on, we're going to start our chain 4 sequence, but again we're going to break it in half. Chain 1, chain 2, remove your hook, go to this pocket that we worked on and find the next chain 4 space right here. Put your hook through from front to back, grab that loop that you took off of your hook and pull it through, completing your chain sequence of 3 and 4. Moving on to the pocket we're working on, we're going to go in between the next set of feathers here and our chain 1 space and complete a single crochet. Remember, we're not connecting anything here in the corner. Our eggs are not going to fall out. It's okay. Chain 2, go to our next chain space, pick that loop up again and pull it through, complete your chain sequence of 3, 4, going to the next set of feathers, finding that single crochet and going through that stitch and the next chain 1 space on your granny square and completing your single crochet. Chain 2, remove your hook, find the next chain 4 space here on the outside of this pocket, grab that loop and pull it back through and finish your chain sequence 3 and 4. So here we are at the tail again, and remember we want to find the third treble crochet of the tail. So here's a double crochet, treble, treble. Here's our third treble crochet. We're going to enter our chicken's tail from the back across the front and down to the back again, capturing that stitch on our hook. We're also going to go through the chain 1 space on our granny square and pull our yarn through and complete a single crochet. Going right back to our chain 4 sequence, we're going to chain 2, remove our hook, find the next chain 4 space here on our pocket that we just finished, get that loop back on your hook and pull it through and complete chain 3 and chain 4. Now we're to the corner of the pocket we're working on. We're going to do just the first single crochet and chain 2. We're going to remove our hook, and now we're going to attach the top of this pocket to our waistband. We need to go back and find the chain space that we skipped on our waistband. Our pocket is joined here, so right here is going to be where we skipped. We're going to place our hook in that space, grab the loop that we took off of our hook and pull it through. And we're going to complete our chain 4 sequence with chain 3 and chain 4. Going back to our pocket, we need to make sure that our corners always have 2 single crochet. I'm going to single crochet right back into that corner. And our second pocket has now been joined to the waistband. And look at here, look at this cute little zigzag pattern that we've got started here with our flat braid join for our chickens. This is going to be really, really cute. It reminds me of chicken fencing. Okay, so now we're going to attach our second pocket to the waistband just across the top. We've just placed our second single crochet into the corner. We're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. We're going to remove our hook and we're going to place our hook in the next available space. It's not here because this pocket is attached over here. We're going to go over here and we're going to place that in from the front to the back, grab that loop that we took off of our hook, get on there, and pull it through. And then we're going to complete our chain sequence with chain 3 and chain 4. There we go. Going back down to our pocket to the chain 1 space, single crochet. chain 1, chain 2, remove your hook, go to the next available chain space from front to back, grab that loop and pull it through, and completing your chain sequence of 3 and 4. Going back to your pocket to the next chain 1 space, a single crochet. Chain 1, chain 2, remove your hook, pull through, and complete 3 and 4. Going across the top of your pocket to your next chain 1 space, a single crochet. Chain 1, chain 2, going here, grabbing that loop and pulling it through, chain 3, chain 4. Right here to the corner now, we're going to the third comb of our chicken, and we're going to place our hook up through the middle stitch of that comb and then back out the back again, and then through the corner chain 2 space. Pull your yarn through all of that very carefully and complete a single crochet. Chain 2. We're going to join a corner, and this is going to be an interior corner because we've got more chickens to put along the side of our apron here. We're going to remove our hook. We're going to find the next available chain space, and we're going to skip it. And we're going to go to the one after that, grab that loop and pull it back through and complete our chain sequence of 3 and 4. Going back to our chicken and going just into the chain 2 space of our granny square to complete that second single crochet. I'm going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And we're going right back here where we started this join. We're going to find a couple of loops from that single crochet where we joined and complete a slip stitch and chain 2 so we can finish off, but don't finish off until you've checked to make sure that your pocket is good. All right, let's look at our second pocket here. So here we have our second pocket for our egg gathering apron. We've got this pretty design starting across the top where everything is being braided, and then we've got the braid in between the chickens. Okay, so we're going to continue on, and let's add 2 more chickens to the flock here and keep going. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add pocket 3 in the same fashion that I did pocket 2. And then I'm going to start pocket 4, and I'll join up with you when we're getting ready to join up here at the top corner, because remember, you don't want to skip because it's an outside corner now. It will be the last chicken. So you don't need to skip when you're joining up here to the waistband. So I'm going to join pocket 3, and I'll meet up with you at pocket 4 when we're almost done. Okay, I have pockets 1, 2, 3, and I'm working on 4 here at the top of our waistband. And I promised I'd come back when we're to this point here. I've done my final single crochet here at the top of the pocket, and I've looped through, chained 2 more for our series of 4. I'm back here at the top of my chicken, and I'm going to go to her third comb and go through that stitch and just capture that half double crochet on there and go through the corner of my granny square and complete a single crochet. I'm going to chain 2, and here on our waistband we don't have to skip anymore. We can just go to the very next one. We don't have to skip over here. We're going to go right here. We're still going to take our hook off and go from the front to the back, grab the loop and pull it through, and then complete our series. There's 2 more chains. Going back to the pocket and finding that chain 2 space at the corner of our granny square, completing that second single crochet. Chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4, because now we're on an outer edge. We're not going to be connecting anymore to the waistband. Going here to our very first single crochet and finding a little place here to loop through on the back, pull through a slip stitch, chain 2 to finish off. I'm going to cut my yarn, but I'm not going to pull it through yet because I want to double check my work. Oh, look at our little chickens. Aren't they cute? 1, 2, 3, 4 across. We've got our waistband completely attached. We have equal amounts on the ends here. We're going to be adding ties to this later, so don't worry that this is not going to fit around your waist or whoever's waist you're making this for. It will fit. We're going to make ties. Don't worry. Let's take a look at the back side of our apron, our reversible side of our apron. Look at those pretty granny squares. Now what you want to do is, as you're doing your rows, I like to leave these tails nice and long. I double knot them just to be on the safe side so that nothing is going to come undone. And then I sew these ends back into my work, making sure you don't sew your pocket closed. But here we've got all of these pretty little granny squares in the back. And yes, some of the colors from behind are going to show, but that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. Let's go back to the front of our apron for row 1 and the waistband. Let's talk about where our corners join. Where our corners join, you're going to end up with this really pretty little floral pattern. I kind of like to just take my crochet hook and go in these spaces and just give them a nice tug to the outside, then tug back into the center so that everything aligns pretty. And look at that pretty little floral pattern you get there where you join. So our waistband is braided onto our pockets. Our pockets have this really pretty little lattice work braid in between them. Very, very pretty. We're going to move on to row 2, and I'll show you how we're going to join row 2. We'll start here with pocket 5. All right, we're working on pocket 5. I've worked it all the way around to the top corner here on the outer edge of our apron. I have my first single crochet in the corner. I'm going to chain 2, remove my hook, and I'm going to go right here into this little loop right here in the corner of our pocket. Grab that loop that I took off of my hook and pull it back through and complete my chain 4 series with chain 3 and chain 4. Go back to the corner that I'm working on for our apron for this pocket and complete that second single crochet. Now we're going to work across the bottom of this pocket into these loops here. Where up here we worked on the waistband, here we're working in these loops, and you'll see how these all come together. It's so cute. So I'm going to chain 2, remove my hook, and I'm going to go to the very first little chain 4 space here loop that we've got. Put that loop back on our hook and pull it through and complete our chain 2 series, making 4 all together. Going to our next chain 1 space, a single crochet, chain 2, remove our hook, finding the next little chain 4 here that we did this little loop. Put the loop back on our hook and pull it through. Remember, we're not completing a slip stitch. We're just pulling it through and then completing our chain 4 series with 2 more chains. Going to our next chain 1 space, a single crochet, chain 2, remove our hook, go to the next little loop here that we made at the bottom of pocket 1, and grabbing that and pulling that through, completing chain 3 and 4. Single crochet in the next chain 1 space, chain 2. We've got one more chain 4 loop right here. I'm going to grab and pull through that one and chain 2. That completes our chain 4 series. Now we're to the corner. We're going to go to the third little comb on our chicken and go up through that stitch in the center, grabbing that little half double crochet and getting that on our hook. Going to the corner of our granny square on our pocket and grab our yarn and pull it through all the way through and then complete a single crochet. Chain 2. And just like before where we're going to work crisscross, we're going to go over here to pocket 2. We're going to find where we did this single crochet, chain 4 series single crochet. We're going to go to this loop right here. Don't go to the loop up here on this chicken. No, this chicken here. We're going to go from the top down through the bottom. We're going to put that loop back on our hook and pull it through. And then we're going to complete our chain 4 series with 2 more chains, 1 and 2. We're going back to the pocket we're working on to our chain 2 space here in the corner and complete our second single crochet. We're not working across anymore. We're going to work down and finish this pocket right here. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're going to our very first single crochet where we joined, kind of pop it over to the back there, find a couple of strands there on that single crochet to go through, and complete a slip knot to close that join round. We're going to chain 2, cut our yarn, but don't finish off yet because we want to make sure that we've got everything we need. Looking here at our apron, we want to make sure that we've joined appropriately here to the bottom of our chicken. We want to make sure we have our single crochet, chain 4, single crochet in our corners. We always want to make sure we've got 2 single crochet in the corners. And we want to make sure that we crisscrossed over for our joining here from pocket 5 to pocket 2. We also really want to make sure that we didn't accidentally crochet our chicken clothes. This is where our eggs are going to go. So there we've got pocket 5. I'm going to work with you halfway through pocket 6, the last 2 parts of pocket 6, and then I think you're good to go to finish this on your own. So let's get pocket 6 joined. Okay, we're here at pocket 6. Down here in this lower corner, I've done my first single crochet, chain 2, and I've removed my hook. I'm going to go into this little corner right here, this loop that we made where we did a chain, where we did a single crochet, chain 4, single crochet, and it made this little loop. I'm going to go into that loop, grab the loop that we dropped off of our hook, and I'm going to pull it through. And then I'm going to complete our chain 4 series with 2 more chains. So there's chain 3 and chain 4. Going back to the corner of the pocket I'm working on and completing that second single crochet. It's so important to make sure you get 2 of them there. Going to chain 2. This goes so fast once you learn what to do. Find the next chain 4 space, get that loop back on the hook, and complete chain 3 and chain 4. We're going to go now to our next space right here as we're working up our chain. We're going to go here to our next group of feathers and go through that single crochet and through the next chain 1 space, completing a single crochet, chain 2, removing our hook and going to our next chain 4 loop and completing our chain series. Going to the next set of feathers and putting our hook through that single crochet and the next chain 1 space, completing a single crochet, chain 2, removing our hook, finding our next little chain 4 loop, pulling that back through and completing our chain sequence 3, 4. We're here to the tail now. Remember, we're going to find the 3rd treble crochet. And we're going to go from the front to the back, capturing that stitch as well as the next chain 1 space, pulling our yarn all the way through and completing that single crochet. Chain 2, up to this final chain 4 loop right here on this chicken, pull through, chain 2 to complete our chain 4 series. Now we're up here to the corner. We're going to place our first single crochet in the corner, chain 2, and remove our hook. We're going to connect to the loop that we made here on the crisscross white chicken right up here in the corner. We're going to go back and we're going to find where we did the single crochet, chain 4, single crochet. I'm going to go into that space right there and go underneath all of the other work we've done. Grab that loop that we took off of our hook and pull it back through. Make sure you've got nice tension on your yarn and complete those last 2 chains of your sequence. Going back to the pocket we're working on here at the corner, complete your 2nd single crochet in that corner. Chain 2, and we're just going to finish on now. We're going to work across the bottom of our chicken here, and we're going to join crisscross here in the corner. Then we're going to add chickens 7 and 8, and you'll be done with row 2. And then once you're done with row 2, you're going to continue with row 3, chicken 9, 10, 11, and 12. I'll meet up with you when I'm done with my final chicken. Up into our last corner on this outer edge here. Chain 2, back into just the corner, not getting the comb that time, and single crochet. And here we have our last chain 4. We're going to finish off here in this very first single crochet where we joined on, and completing a slip stitch to finish that join round. Chain 2, cutting myself a nice long tail, pulling through but not finishing off yet. I want to double check to make sure I've got all of my braids done well here. Everything looks good. Everything looks really good, so I'm going to go ahead and cinch this off so I can finish off. And there we have it. Our hens are all done. Look at all these fun hens. And let's flip it over and look at our granny squares. Beautiful. All we have to do now is tie in the tails back here. Let's move on to creating the ties for your waistband. With the same color as our waistband, we're going to go ahead here and start with a slip knot, locating the ring or the chain 2 space at either end of your waistband. Go ahead and just pop your hook through that ring there and place your yarn on your hook and pull it through. Now chain 60. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 58, 59, and 60. So here we have the 60 chains for our tie for our waistband on our apron here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to work in the bars of these chains. Let's discuss that a moment. For the anatomy here of our chains, we have this loop here, we have this loop here. They look like little V's or teardrops. But when you turn your chain over, you'll see that there's this line of straight little bumps. These are the bars of the chain. We're going to be working in these bars. So we're going to work in the second chain from the hook, not counting the loop that's on the hook. Go 1, 2. This chain right here, we're going to turn this over. We're going to find the bar on the back of that chain right there and slip our hook through it. Yarn over and pull back through, and we're going to complete a single crochet. We're going to go right here to this very next chain, slip our hook under the bar, yarn over and pull through, and complete a single crochet. We're going to place a single crochet in every bar along our chain here until we get back to where we've joined to our waistband. I'm going to go ahead and get those single crochets in, and I'll meet up with you back here at the beginning of our waistband. You may ask why we're working in the bar of the chain as we go. Here's the top that we're working right now of the single crochets. But look at how nice and neat the bottom looks of your tie. If you were to just work into the chain itself, you'd have a little bit of a loopy mess here at the bottom. Working in the bar leaves a really nice finished look. So trust me, you're going to want to work in the bar. All right, I'm going to get back to my chains. We're coming up here to the last couple of bars of our chains in row 1 here of our waistband. This last one is always tricky. It's a little tight right there. There we go. We got that. Now in our ring right here, we're just going to slip stitch, chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to slip stitch into the very first single crochet, and then we're going to single crochet in every single crochet across. This will be row 2. Make sure when you do your stitches you get both the front loop and the back loop, and work in every single crochet to the end of your tie, and I will meet up with you there. We're coming here to the end of our first tie. Just a couple more single crochet to go. There's one there. And here is the second to the last one here. When I get to the very end, I like to just slip stitch into that very first single crochet there. It gives it a rounded edge, gives it a rounded corner here on our tie. Chain 2 and finish off leaving a nice long tail. Pinching those 2 chains and pulling that knot up nice and tight to the end of your tie, and then go ahead and sew this end in. And I'll tell you what I love about this pattern is you have a really nice wide waistband that is very supportive, and then you have these beautiful ties that are not too thin, not too thick. They're just right, and they really do tie nicely for your apron. So go ahead, sew your ends in, and do this on the other side as well of your waistband. Locate that other loop right here on the end. This is the chain 2 space of my waistband. I'm going to place another tie here, sew in all of my ends, and then our apron will be done. So let me do this, and then we'll take a look at our finished apron. Okay, we're all done with our apron. Our tie is done. Our waistband looks great. And here we have all of these cute little hens. I brought some eggs into the craft room just to show you how cute everything looks. Popping these right here into our egg apron pockets. And I want to point out to you that they fit nicely, but look how nice and deep the pockets are. Look at that. You don't have to worry about your eggs falling out. You see them right in here? Look at that. They're in there. They're not falling out. They are nice and secure, but look at those cute little chickens. Boop. That's how you get your eggs out. When you get into the house, just push on the bottom of the pocket. They'll come right out for you. Let's look at the reverse side of our apron. And here we have our granny squares with our cute little floral motifs in the center. Very, very cute. I'm gonna go hang this up on my dress form and get some pictures for you. In the meantime, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me here on the farm. Stick around for those pictures, and until I see you again here on the farm for our next apron tutorial or our crochet along for our heirloom Afghan, I will see you then. I want you to take care of yourself, take care of each other, and have a blessed day. Bye-bye.